I think that you need to, on a podcast, feel like you have the right to call somebody out for over pausing, because it is a thing. And at a certain point, it kind of takes away from the podcast. And we've probably all done it.
A podcast.
That might be one right there.
Becomes a podcast.
Let me ask you something, Lush.
Yes, sir.
Let's have a little chit chat with Lush here.
We could do that.
Was he in detention?
I noticed that you seemed to notice the chat, perhaps having some comments, some chitter chatter, some feedback. What are you taking from the chat and from the fans in terms of your performance?
Pause. No, what do you
Fair.
mean? Like, what do you mean?
Well, you came to me right after the podcast last time and said, like, hey, like, I know there was a lot of comments saying that I was talking too much or whatever, and like, I just want to let you know that I'm not going to do that all the time or whatever. Like, what did you take? Like what made you think of that?
Fuck this nigga.
I mean, he said that because we saw him say it in the comments.
Well, I didn't.
And I also, Lush, I don't want you to get into the groove of feeling like you're beyond criticism, which some people do on this podcast. So
Right.
like, we start talking about, yes, exactly. one of them has their hand in the air. In terms of like, I think we should all be able to sort of go back and forth and have conversations about what works and what is good on the podcast and stuff. And, there was like one thing when I was kind of thinking about it after the fact, I was like, maybe at some point I want to point out to Lush that there is kind of like a time and a place for a meth tale. Mm-hmm. It's like that's something that I kind of feel like you could be at risk for doing. Well, yeah, it was good. It was good, I'm sure. I don't really remember. But I think that, that's just like one thing that I might want to throw out there, is that like sometimes, that's something to think about, is that, like when you want to pick and choose the moments for the meth tales.
No, absolutely. And I felt
Bad
like
podcasting.
Meth tales are like a genre.
Bad
It
podcasting.
is.
Because it's kind of a genre. The equivalent for me in House Phone is like when we sort of find ourselves just telling like Xanax stories for 45 minutes on the podcast, because it's like it's kind of like easy low hanging fruit.
I could do Xanax stories too, if you prefer.
You are the new house phone. Adam's going to just try to pick on you all day.
But see, this is why you are retarded. Is because you say picking on instead of like working on the podcast. Like, it doesn't need to be framed as like bullying or like antagonizing, because that's not at all.
I'm not going to say bullying, but sometimes you can send a fucking text.
No,
you don't got to do it for the whole world.
Well, I think this is good content to talk about Lush's status.
I specifically asked for feedback.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I want
and
to
that's
improve.
why you don't
waited till Tuesday
don't do
to
the
tell
victim
you.
narrative that AD does of trying to make everything like, oh, they're picking on me. It's like, no, we can talk about the quality of the product without making it a bullying narrative.
You never picked on me.
No, but you're always like, but you choose to frame me giving you any advice about the podcast as me like basically bullying.
No,
you.
I always take your advice and I implement it.
Yeah, but usually you'll like argue with me for a while first and try to act like I don't have a point and everything before you do that.
It's part of the game.
Here's the thing. I'm used to being the most like verbose person on the pod. I'm used to carrying the conversation. I'm not used to being I'm not used to
Lush
being
one.
I'm not used to being a midget on the shoulder of giants. You know what I mean?
Little person.
So oh, wow. Wow, this is getting pause.
A little person on the side.
No,
okay. I get
it's
it.
so when there's dead airtime, which I've been told is like the number one sign of bad podcasting, I try to steer past it. So that's just my instinct, and now I'm realizing that it's a bit excessive, and also I'm just going to keep it 1,000% transparent. Like, I want to make sure that I'm a part of all the clips. So when there's clips, if I'm not talking in it, it's like, damn, what's this guy just standing there for, sitting here? So now I realize I don't need to necessarily always need to crack a joke or put my input in every second, even though I know a lot of people enjoy it.
Well, it's a tricky balance to figure out, because it's like, yeah, you want to be a part of any conversation. And like, you know, it gets trickier and trickier the more that you're around other people, and you maybe at a certain point realize like, fuck, they're having a really good conversation about something that I don't necessarily have something to offer about. So I'm just going to cede ground to them and just completely like excuse myself from this for like 15 minutes. That's how I felt when we were doing the thing with academics and Gilly and Wallow and Whack. Is like at a certain point, I'm like, I'm not gonna go crazy trying to make myself a part of this conversation when clearly it has nothing to do with me and it's going very well without me. You know,
That was a sparring match.
it's kind of a weird dynamic.
I'll just wait till you guys bring up meth, and then I'll pipe up. And
How's the clip of Lush One talks about how meth destroyed his teeth? How's that doing? That was a pretty good title. I'm not gonna lie.
60K.
See, that's pretty legit. Yeah.
Yeah. People tend to enjoy that content, but I also don't want that to be the primary mechanism steering the conversation. Like here's the thing. You said like you only have one chance in your podcast career to tell all the stories. I have an infinite reservoir of stories, and it's not because I'm like such a cool person. It's because I've lived a colorful life, because I've had such a dysfunctional existence, and I've kind of stumbled upon a lot of things that make for interesting fodder in conversations. But that don't mean that I need to assert them every single 5 minutes.
Yeah, because it's like there's always this kind of battle in your head of personal anecdotes, like telling a story about yourself to like illustrate the point. You know, like we could be talking about some fucking thing. God damn it, I forgot my notes. Could somebody grab this from my office? Thanks.
Flex.
But
And they all leaped up simultaneously too. If y'all could have just seen what that looked like, it was
I forgot.
crazy.
The new guy, he's so cool.
I had a couple pieces of paper, but you know, because it's like always like,
Josh number 2.
do you want to take this moment to sort of share a personal anecdote about yourself that kind of relates to it? And I feel like as a podcaster, that's the thing I think about a lot is like, when is it time for me to personalize this, especially when I'm interviewing somebody? Because it's like, I feel like that needs to be like 90% them, 10% me. So it's like if I am gonna share a little thing about me, I want to be like very thoughtful about when it's worth doing it.
No, absolutely. And I don't want to personalize every conversation. I think a lot of it
We already have AD for that.
Superhero complex.
right. And I think a lot of it had to do with, you know, like let's say it's like a gang, and there's the newest member on the set. He just jumped off the porch. He got to do a lot to prove himself. He got to put in work. He got to earn his stripes. That's
You trying to kiss some bodies for the team.
I had to go out and demonstrate my value, and I feel like now that I've done that, and people are saying, you know, have showered me with compliments of what I bring to the table, it's unnecessary. Now I'm just another member of the team.
I know you're a diehard Reddit reader. You seen the graph of like the hero's arc or whatever, like or like the podcast arc where it's like you're like unknown, and then you're loved by everyone, and then you're hated by everyone, and it's like that is reality unless you can like provide enough value to continue to be useful to the audience, essentially, you know?
Right. And then on top of it, I think a lot of it is about being genuine, not being self-aware, being genuine, and not being egotistical. I think that's the number one thing that tends to, not just with this audience, but with any audience, when they see that you're feeling yourself too much, they're like, we can't relate to this guy anymore. He thinks he's better than us. Fuck him.
I respect how serious you taking this.
No, this is the most important thing in my life. Like,
Damn.
ever. I don't got nothing else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is, I want to be the best I possibly can be. I see a potential for a huge, you know, I could be Adam 23.
You feel like Joe Budden? Like the music was like not doing that good, so you're like, I could find new life through rocking a K Subi hat on the No Jumper pod.
Subi, but the thing,
I always say K Subi.
The thing,
House Fun's not even here, and I'm still getting shit for that.
The thing about it is, it's made every other aspect of my, like all my music, my streams are through the roof.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like my streams are through the roof. All the views on all my old content, interviews, they're all going up. Fans are digging up my old shit, showing it hella love.
That's that Reddit stimulus package, I guess.
Yeah, which is super dope, but that doesn't make me want to just...
Out of that one.
That don't make me want to like do that other stuff more. It makes me want to lean into this because I feel like there's never been any aspect of my creativity that lends itself to my strengths as an individual as podcasting, and this being the platform that I've watched more than anything else. It's like, I might as well rock with it. Like, we in an era, baby. And the fact that I'm able to be a seminal part of this all-star team is fire.
All right, people, we just hit 300,000 subscribers. You know we're trying to hit 400,000 subscribers. So that little red button, tap it, tap in. We appreciate y'all.